Today's video, we are going to be talking about trading cards, and I'm not talking about baseball trading cards or any other sport. I'm talking about artist trading cards. And I hadn't heard of them before. I watched a demo on them. I watched an artist demo, how to paint a little landscape on these cards. But I'm using them for a little bit different purpose than what they were talking about in that video, which is artists actually trading cards with each other and sending them around the world and that kind of thing. This is a little bit different in that I'm not sending them around the world, but I am painting them for another purpose. So if you want to see what that purpose is, join me in the video as I paint a little trading card. Thanks for watching, you guys. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see more videos, and the like button also if you like this video. It does definitely helps to get my channel out there. So thanks again for watching. Let's dive in. Okay, so here we are with the artist trading card project. Basically, in early 2022, I was going to do a project with these trading cards, and I never got around to it. I got sidetracked, started other projects, and these kind of got pushed aside. So recently I visited the garden of the mom of a friend of mine, a gal that I work with, and she was showing me her yard that blooms beautiful flowers. It was kind of at the late season, so it wasn't blooming as much. But she was so nice to welcome me into her space and show me around her yard and the flowers that she loves and all of that. So I wanted to show my gratitude for her hospitality, I guess you could say, of opening her home to me, her garden to me. And I was trying to find a way to do that. And I thought maybe I should paint her a little something. She had said over and over again how much she loved the color purple. And so that was kind of being tossed around in my brain. And then I kind of was rummaging through some stuff and I ran across these. And I thought, that would be a perfect use for these, would be to paint her a small little token of appreciation. And I could put it in this handy dandy little sleeve here and give it to her as a thanks. So I did a little floral with purple flowers and wrote a couple of words of encouragement and gave it to her daughter to pass on to her as a thank you from me. So that started the other wheels turning, where I thought, wouldn't that be a fun thing to do? To make little, it doesn't have to be floral, it could be a little tiny landscape, it could be animal, just a little tiny, just a little something of your making, of your doing, of your creativity. You put your time and energy into this, and then write words of encouragement and just give it to somebody who you think might need a little hug, you know? So here's your trading card hug. That's what I thought would be cool to do. Make a bunch of these, or not even a bunch, just a couple here and there, put some encouraging words on there, and then keep them with me and just keep my eyes open for an opportunity to pass that on to somebody that might just need to have a little uplifting word or a pat on the shoulder or whatever it may be. There's a lot of people that have broken hearts out there. There's a lot of people that just need encouragement because they're just struggling. So if that is something that sounds appealing to you, I would encourage you to do the same thing. Now, you don't have to go out and buy the artist trading cards like I did. I just was curious, so I wanted to try them. But these are just Strathmore paper, 400 series watercolor paper. It's a professional grade. It's 140 cold press, and there's 10 cards in here. Probably not 10 now, but because I used a couple. I actually did use a couple. Anyway, they're 2.5 by 3.5 in size. So what I did was took a sheet of the Strathmore that I have in my studio. Coincidentally, I have 400. That the little story behind that is I was walking across the parking lot at my job at Costco when I spotted something in the parking lot. It was a big white square thingy, and I couldn't really tell what it was until I got up close and realized it was a whole stinking pack of watercolor paper. And here's the watercolor artist that comes across it. So I took it inside and I gave it to the management to put my name on it. And what they do is they wait 90 days, and if nobody claims it, then you get to keep whatever it was you found. And in this case, it was a whole pack of Strathmore, which I really don't use very much. But I have found a great use for these pieces, these sheets of paper that I found, and that is to cut them down to that 2.5 by 3.5 size. So I've got a whole bunch of them. It's a little bit of work, but I just used my paper cutter and measured them out on there. Didn't draw any lines. I just measured it on the paper cutter and used the, the straight line of that to get an even cut. So, same paper, lot less expensive, but a little bit more work. To me, it's worth it because I found a way to use those papers. And then these sheets, I think I said already, you can get these on Amazon. And I'm going to link all the supplies below so you can go find them if you want to. But like I said, even if it's not Strathmore, use whatever paper you have and just cut it down to size. You don't need to go out and buy special trading cards. You can do your own. They're nothing special. They're just cut like that. So we're going to grab our first little trading card, and I'm using my Meeden 10 palette, which I really like a lot. It's nice and portable. And I've got it filled mostly with core watercolors and a couple of Holbein, Daniel Smith, M. Graham, Winsor and Newton. There's a little bit of a mix, and I'll just mention what they are, and then you can find them in the link below. Okay, so what I'm going to do is give this a little spritz and grab, I could do my number 2 round. I think I'm going to say, let's go with the number 2 long round. It's just a little bit more loose to do some little loose florals here, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to swing this baby around and work with this puddle right here. I've got bright orange, which mix nicely, I'll say, with the titanium white. It just gives it a creamsicle-y kind of flavor. And I really like that orange. So this is a mixture of the bright orange and a little bit of, I think that's lamp black, and I used a little bit of burnt sienna. And that's going to be for some of the darker areas. Okay, so I'm going to work in threes. I'm going to do 3 flowers here. So I'm going to start off over here in one of the 4 corners, which if you're doing a tic-tac-toe, the 4 intersections are where you want to place your center of interest. So I want my biggest flower to be right in the corner over here. So I'm going to do a little S curve, or C curve, excuse me, and another one. And then that was just with the tippy tip of my brush. I'm going to clean that brush off and come over here, just overlap, and I'm going to do a press and release on that, or a short stroke. Some people might call it a short stroke. And then same over here, and I'm letting those colors just bleed into each other. And grabbing from the same puddle, That's a little too much of an arch, but it is just fine. We're going to come over here and over here, a little bit more there. And then I'm rinsing my brush and dabbing off the extra moisture and just pretty much coming in with clear water and letting that flood and connect. So there we go. We've got a nice little rose started. And I'm going to come there. And a little bit there. Let that bleed and flow into each other. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want those a little bit wider on that outer edge. So a little bit more of that creamsicle. And I don't want this to get too gigantic, so trying to stay pretty compact with this. And I'm touching just a little touches of the darker. And I can come in also with a little bit of yellow. I think that's, don't remember what color that is. Could be Nicolazo yellow. And just plop in a little bit of that into some of that wetter paint. Give it a nice sunny glow. Now, right next to it, not straight across, but a little bit of an angle, I'm going to come down and do the same thing. That's a little more of an O, though, isn't it? Oh no. So let's kind of work on what we can do about that. It'll be a tighter bud, how about? And so important to note as well, I kind of goofed up by coming this way. Everything's coming from the center, so you want these swirls to also come this way and not straight this way. So I'm just going to kind of leave that for a minute, probably. And rinsing my brush, just coming out a little bit. A little more of that. There we go. That looks better. All right. So there's my second little guy. A little bit of that yellow there too. Kind of keep it consistent. Like they all are a family. And then let's go over here. Again, it's a zigzag, more of a angle than a straight line. And we're going to go like that. Like that. And coming up here and pressing a little bit more and lifting. Pressing and lifting. Pressing and lifting and coming a little past that. So we want a little overlapping action to happen. That's not my petal. And come around that a little bit more. And I'm going to touch in a little bit of line in there with a thicker paint. And that way it doesn't spread as much. So let's come out a little bit with that one. A little bit of water. And let that kind of flow around. Okay, now for the greens. Add that little bit of yellow in there too. I almost forgot. There we go. Gives it a sunny look. Okay, so for the leaves, I've got sap green. Add a little bit more water to that. Reactivate it. Got some brown over there. And that's given me a nice kind of a smoky green. So keeping in mind where the centers of these guys are, I want to come out this way from the center, and I'm going to come down and about a little bit more this way. And then I'm going to come right along that line and press and release and lift at the end. Fill in that. Going in for a little lighter green, and I'll just drop that in. And then I can press and release, press and release. Drop in a little where that stem's kind of dark. And I'm going to come in here, press and release, press and release, and up here, press and release, press and release. Grab a little bit of this cobalt teal and come over here and press and release, add a little bit more of that green. This gives it a cooler look. I don't need to be fussing with it so much, and that's an easy habit to fall into. So coming straight out from there, press and release, press and release. Let's do a little smaller one. Press and release. Press and release. Let's come up over here and do just one. And I'm going to turn my little paper. It's something to keep in mind. You don't have to always have it in the same position. Press and release, maybe a small one too. Over here. A little bit of that leaf green. I can soak up some of that with a thirsty brush. Just a big puddle there. But I kind of like that lighter fading in. Say we need one over here too, so let's go this direction with that. Press and release. Press and release. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So now we can do a couple little fun things. Let's do a little bit of, whoa, that's a lot of, that's a cobalt blue with that teal. And I'm just going to add a couple of circles. It's a little too thick. And I chose those colors because the blue is complementary. It could even stand to be a little bit bluer than that even. So careful, that circle is going to get too big. And that was my Carbazole violet. And you can get 4 little circles like that, leaving a little room in the center. And a couple of these little circles up here. Don't need to be quite so concerned and fussy about it as I was over there. So, in fact, if it's a little more imperfect, it's actually quite appealing and charming. Okay, so we've got some areas that I wanted the blue here, here, and here, so I repeated that pattern. And then I'm going to do some of that yellow. Wish I knew what that was. And I'm going to do some yellow flowers, just like, and maybe put a little center in those purple ones. Swoosh that back around and come back in with a little bit more of the dark. Okay, so now I think it would be nice to have a couple of little highlighty or a couple of little loose ink brush strokes. So I went ahead and dried that. I wanted that to be plenty dry. This is a brush pen, Kurtaki, and I'm just going to do some random strokes. And it's really hard on this little this little paper to keep it nice and loose. So I'm just going to do a little swirly images or swirly lines. And maybe even a couple of leaves. And I'm just using a very light touch because this is just, I don't want to get too heavy because it'll get thicker. So when I want a thicker line, I'll just add more pressure to the pen. But right now, I just want it nice and fine, 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 fine. And I'm going to give these a little bit of a tip. And I'm repeating that throughout. Boy, my hand is wiggly. Little teeny tiny baby leaves. Little dabs in the middle there. Kind of like that touch. Now this is cute, isn't it? So let's give this little guy home and do a couple leaves there. These guys need a little stem. And then we can figure out, isn't that cute? I love this. It's darling. So now you can put an encouraging word on there as well as sign your name. So what can we say that would be encouraging for somebody that might be having a hard day? I know. How about this? And we need to put it in a very spectacular spot. What if I put it right across there? How about breathe? We're going to sign our name to it and put the year. And then let that dry completely. And I'm going to look at it under the light and just make sure that that's completely dry, because when I put it in my sleeve, I don't want that to smear on the inside. So if you have a specific person that you want to give this to, you can always write something sweet on the back, some note of encouragement, or, you know, just thank you for being a friend. So there you have it. There's a cute little way to use your trading cards to send an encouraging message to somebody who needs to breathe and just chill out and relax, and it's going to be okay. Just breathe. Hope you guys like this video, and go try something like this for yourself. I'd like to see what y'all come up with. I'm probably going to do a little landscape next, so stay tuned for that. All right, take care, you guys. Happy painting. We will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.